Hello, welcome back. It's time now for Top Story. In a campaign where foreign policy has often been a side note, Republican presidential nominee Mitt Romney aggressively challenged President Barack Obama's foreign policy. Romney accused the president of having abandoned our friends in Poland, being duped by Iran, and being far too weak towards Russia. For more on this, I'm now joined by Annette Young, our international affairs editor. Hello, Annette. Now, the economy received star billing in his address, but Romney didn't shy away from going on the attack when it comes to President Obama's foreign policy, his administration's foreign policy.
That's right. And yet, you know, strong language was very much used indeed, Claire. I mean, he, for instance, said Obama had thrown Israel under the bus. Let's just take a listen, though, to what he had to say about Iran.
In his first TV interview as president, he said we should talk to Iran. We're still talking, and Iran's centrifuges are still spinning. President Obama has thrown allies like Israel under the bus, even as he has relaxed sanctions on Castro's Cuba. He abandoned our friends in Poland by walking away from our missile defense commitments. But he's eager to give Russia's President Putin the flexibility he desires after the election. Under my administration, our friends will see more loyalty, and Mr. Putin will see a little less flexibility and more backbone.
Gotta love those boos, Claire, don't you? I mean, obviously they've been working up to it during his speech. Look, it's no surprise what he was saying there in his address. Where did he go on his whistle-stop tour? Britain. Good friends there, obviously, with the Conservative government in power. Poland and Israel. And, of course, being tough on Iran, for instance, again, is no surprise, given that a large part of your campaign funding is coming from that American casino billionaire who's very pro-Israel, Sheldon Adelson. It also helps his stance when a UN report comes out in the preceding 24 hours that Iran has doubled the number of uranium enrichment centrifuges in an underground bunker. And, of course, this all despite Western pressure. Some of his most provocative language, as we've seen, has been directed towards Russia, you know, promising a virtual trade war against China, and geeing up the troops for a possible strike against Iran. Look, it's not surprising he's doing that either, because he has to appeal to the conservative part of his party, and those conservatives will make sure that he sticks to his promises when he's in power, if indeed he is voted in. But there is a saying, Claire, campaign is poetry, governing is prose. It's a very different thing when you're in power versus when you're in opposition. You can say and promise as much as you like, but the realities of government are very different indeed.
Now, national security has also become an issue in this campaign. Romney broke off from the Republican National Convention to fly to Indianapolis, where he told the American Legion that he would stop reckless defence cuts. But at the end of the day, will there be enough money, really, to sustain his promises?
He wants to be a superpower on a budget. And, you know, what are you going to do when you've already sort of maxed out your credit card limit by going to war in 2 different countries abroad? It is a dilemma for the Republican Party. They're going to have to square the sort of competing governing, philosophies of global responsibility and smaller government. And as analysts have pointed out, Romney has been very skillful in positioning himself as someone who believes in American leadership and a strong military without committing himself to further foreign military intervention.
So how much, then, really, does foreign policy register as an important issue with the American electorate?
At the end of the day, not that much. What it is all about is image, and the economy obviously receives star billing, as we saw in that speech. But it is important for those Conservatives in his party to hear that America is not going to stop being the world's #1 police officer. That's what they want America to be. But as I keep saying, it's going to be very different when you're in government and you've got depleted resources. So, you know, all the best, and if indeed he wins, he's got a tough job ahead of him.
All right, about 10 weeks before we find out who wins that election. Thank you very much, Annette. That's it for Top Story. Thanks for watching. Do stay tuned.